Excited for another Monday for us to come together in our WIM Treehouse for Women in the Metaverse and talk about our iron sharpening conversations. Now, you all know variations is our theme, and we are wrapping it up this month. We're actually talking about the different variations of the internet and of technology and the metaverse and all of the different what are they called? Disrupting technology that we are actually living through now. And again, it's because if you've heard me on this podcast before, you guys know this technology is happening, whether you think it's too complicated and don't want to get involved or not, it is still happening and you will be involved in it one day or another. And so we are going to take the time to break it down a little bit and just talk about the different variations of it. Today I'm going to break it down just a little bit and offer you guys some insight on the variations of the internet. 2, the variations of how the internet has evolved so far, which would be Web 1, Web 2, and Web 3, and then also the future of the internet. And then from here, we'll dive into our next topic next week, which will actually be variations of ways to use the internet, like blockchain technology and different things like that. And then, like I said, we'll talk about variations of the metaverse, because again, this is like the next variation of this internet. And then also of AI, because it's like us working with the internet like Siri. So I'm very excited for this month and us getting a little bit more on the technical side. And you guys know I'm going to come and just try to offer some information that I've gathered amongst my experience, put it out to the group. Everybody watching, I would love to hear your variation of the future of the internet. What does your variation of the future of the internet consist of, right? Because it's really hard to even be able to say what it looks like because it's always evolving into something that we couldn't even imagine of. But I would love to hear what you would think that this next layer of the internet at least consists of. So let's take it back a few steps, though, and talk about the different variations of the internet. And I think that's a good way to start because most of us just think of the internet as us going on and, going to www.google.com and searching something and that being, as much of the internet as we know it is. But then we've also heard of things as like the deep web or the dark web, or if you're into like crypto, you heard of the Internet of Things. And again, these are different terms that I want you all to be understanding because they're all variations of the internet. And there are 7 common ones that, again, a lot of different people use for a lot of different things. So starting with number 1. The surface web. Now, this is a part of the internet that most people are familiar with. It consists of websites and pages that are indexed by search engines and are easily accessible through a web browser. Like I said, what most of us use, that surface web. Then we have the deep web. Now, this is a part of the internet that is not indexed by search engines and requires specialized software or configurations to access. That includes private networks, internal corporate networks, and other websites that are not meant to be publicly accessible, such as like you having to get onto VPNs or like they said, specific servers. And when you get into like this new era of the internet, you start to really have to educate yourself about servers and even protecting yourself on the internet. And that's why I'm trying to break it down to you guys and let you know the internet is deeper than it appears. And I think we all realize that because, we don't necessarily think about the back work that it takes for us to get the answer out of Google that we're looking for, but there is a lot of back work that even produces that answer that you're looking for, where they got that from, how they got it, and so much more. And then there's also the dark web. Now, this is a small portion of the deep web that is intentionally hidden and accessed through anonymizing software such as Tor. It is associated with illegal activities and black market transactions. So again, you guys know right now, if you were to search something, people can look at your VPN and know exactly where you are from being able to, trace it. But of course, there's this dark web where you go in completely anonymous. And again, that's why I'm always pushing to educate ourselves so that we can protect ourselves. Because if you go into these different arenas not even knowing what others are capable of, you put yourself at risk for a lot of things that you don't even realizing, because sometimes you do want your location protected. People can actually access your internet by being able to know where you are if you're doing different things like streaming or all kind of stuff that I didn't even realize until I started to have these kind of conversations. And again, it reminds you to educate yourself so that you can protect yourself. Now there's also the Internet of Things. Now this refers to the network of physical devices, vehicles, home appliances, and other items embedded with electronics, software, sensors, and network connectivity. The Internet of Things allows for the exchange of data between devices and the automation of various tasks. Now, we've all seen this through like the cloud, where you have your one iPhone, but you can also access it on your iPad and then on your MacBook and then also on your car, like they said, and again, this is all connected, right? There's a network that is connecting your data and being able for you to see it on under other devices. And again, think about that, right? Think about how much and how valuable that network will be. And why that is important is because you guys know, if you're walking, there's this theory where you kind of talk by your phone and then your phone all of a sudden can like start showing you ads for the thing that you were just talking about. Again, because that information for where you're going, what you're buying is all valuable to advertisers to show you the ads that are going to actually want you to buy it and again keep you buying it. So and I say that because again, with this evolution of the internet, data is like gold. And you want to own your data. You want to understand who has your data and what they're doing with it. Because I can guarantee you they're selling it to the highest bidder. And you want to know what they're using that information for. So again, it's all about protection. Now there's also the mesh network. And this is a decentralized network that uses wireless routers to connect devices and nodes rather than relying on a centralized infrastructure. This allows for greater resilience and flexibility in areas where traditional internet infrastructure may be lacking or unreliable. And then there's also the semantic web. This is an extension of the current web in which information is given well-defined meaning, better enabling computers and people to work in cooperation. It aims to create a more intelligent and connected web by adding metadata to web pages to help computers understand the meaning of this content. So again, this is now having the internet, just not having the information here on the internet, but being able to understand it and think of it like we would with that information. I know, think about it. And this is again why we can go so deep on each one of these different variations of the internet, but we don't have to spend a whole hour doing that when we can understand the different variations and an example and how they're all connected in order to help further our understanding to start diving down that rabbit hole, because this rabbit hole is also very much do your own research, right? You hear something that sticks out, you want to learn more about it, go do some research about, a variation of the internet that stuck out for you. Or maybe you say, oh man, I didn't even realize that I need to protect myself if I'm streaming. Go look up how to protect yourself by being on these different internet platforms. There's so many people that I've come across, especially in this Web3 space, that refuse to be on different platforms. And I'm talking about big platforms like Instagram, for example, because they simply do not agree with the terms and conditions. So take it serious when you're signing these terms and conditions, because you're really giving away your data and letting your app be on your phone and run through your whole entire phone and all kind of things. And you really have to understand what you're giving in order to get that little bit that you're really trying to achieve. And then there's also one last one, and then we'll kind of move into this next talk about, which is just how the internet has evolved. And so this last one is the quantum internet. Now, this is a theoretical network that will use quantum communication to exchange information. It would be more secure than current encryption methods and allow for faster and more efficient data transfer. Now, like I said, I really want to talk about the evolution of the internet because we just talked about the different variations. Again, maybe you're familiar with a few of them. Maybe you've heard about them before, but you didn't quite understand what they were. And that's why I love being able to simplify things and just give forgettable content. Like, okay, well, I've heard about the deep web, but what is the deep web? I've heard about the dark web, but what is that? Well, I gave you guys a quick summary of what each one of these is for you to go and use that as a brick to start building that foundation to further that understanding. And that will help us understand again how the internet is going to continue to evolve, because even where we are now, it didn't start like this, right? I'm not that old, but I remember when I was having to hook up my internet to the phone and the phone back to the internet. And before that, I've heard stories of people when, the first computer came out, or like Bill Gates, for example, right, who actually was the creator of Microsoft, where he was lucky enough to be able to go to a school that had this supercomputer. And again, how having access and the awareness of this technology is literally so important as well. And so it all started with Web 1, which was also known as the static web. Now, Web 1 was the first iteration of the World Wide Web, that www dot, okay? Now, it was a one-way communication platform where users could only consume content but not interact with it. Web 1 sites were simple, static pages that were primarily informational in nature. So you can basically go look for information, kind of think of like the phone book, right? You can go look it up, see if it was like in today's day and age, it would be like you being able to look up www.mocaso.com, and then you see my page with maybe my hours of operation for my business, the different services that I offer, and you can simply read it. You wouldn't be able to, actually buy things on there with me or interact with it, but it's just for information, like the encyclopedia.com. Again, that's another great example for you just being able to go and consume the information. And then we go on to Web 2, which is the current iteration of the web, which is characterized by its focus on user-generated content and social interaction. Now, Web 2 sites are dynamic, interactive, and collaborative, where users are able to create, share, and interact with content in real time. Now, an example of Web 2 sites will include social networking, which I'm sure we can all think of, like Facebook, Twitter, and even video sharing platforms like YouTube. And again, different collaborative websites like Wikipedia, right? Like, so we go from the encyclopedia where you're just reading that, but now to Wikipedia where you can add and edit and put in your ideas as well. Or even, like we said, being able to connect on Facebook, add a friend, send a message, share your own picture, but you are adding that information to that site to even make that site worth something. And again, that's why it's so important, because on these Web 2 sites, Instagram wouldn't be Instagram if everybody wasn't posting their pictures on it. Facebook wouldn't be Facebook if everybody wasn't telling everybody what they ate for breakfast, or what they, Christmas time, and showing all their Christmas pictures and that kind of thing. Twitter wouldn't be Twitter if everybody wasn't over there tweeting what they're thinking all day. It's us as the users that make these platforms valuable, because we are adding the content to the platform. And then we have this Web 3 idea of the internet, which is this new variation that I refer to often, which is also known as the semantic web that we had just kind of cited above. Now, Web 3 is the next evolution of the web, which aims to create a more intelligent and connected web. Web3 will enable machines to understand and interpret data in a more sophisticated way, allowing for more personalized and targeted user experience. It will also enable greater automation and efficiency in various industries, including healthcare, finance, and logics. An example of Web3 technology includes the artificial intelligence, machine learning, blockchain, and the Internet of Things. Again, think about how we're using the internet, and if the internet was able to use that information that we're giving it to create more content, right? It's going to actually be able to see what you like to see and grow as your understanding grows as well. And again, we have to understand that because we are also feeding this machine as well. And so that is important to me when I think, AI has been a big phenomenon within this past few months. And I'm always telling people, like, don't keep asking AI, how would it go and take out all of humanity? Because all you're doing is over here feeding AI ideas about why it should take out humanity, because that's all humanity is wondering as well. And so instead, we can use it to help us with streamlining our processes, right? That's one of the things I think is one of the best things about Web3, especially as myself, who is somebody that believes that I can do a lot of things, especially as I'm on the rise, but not able to necessarily, so I have things like something as simple as Canva, right? Where it's a little bit more intuitive and it has some templates and it knows exactly what I'm looking for. I can put in a type of template that I'm looking for and what platform I'm going to put it on, and it already has the dimensions for me, right? So I don't have to break my brain about how to resize a picture anymore and go find a picture converter online and be scared about downloading it. No, there's a platform like Canva and a very simple example that you can use that already has it all there, that you put in what you need, it's going to give you back out exactly what that is, and you can keep using it. And then even so much more as it being the next level of the internet, where like I am here in the Metaverse instead, right? And if you don't know, I also have a Metaverse shop in here, which is 24/7, and Tiny Creates has a Metaverse mall in here with a bunch of different stores. So again, it allows for a next level of being able to interact with each other, because we're all in different states, but we come in here and be in here together and interact in different ways, where we have game night on Thursdays or are able to do so many different things. We had one member came in and we were watching a new show together. The new few episodes of the show Harlem came out, and we played it, and it was a marathon. We kept it going the next week, and that turned into more where we're going to continue to do stuff like that. So be on the lookout. And if you enjoy watching shows and giving your reviews, again, come and connect with us, because that's what we're in the Metaverse, this next level of connecting with each other doing. And that's, again, some more examples on how what the internet will continue to evolve. And so on that note, I wanted to highlight what I think and what are some of the main points that will be a part of this next evolution in the future of the internet. So like I just said, that greater connectivity. So as the internet infrastructure continues to improve, more people from around the world will have access to high-speed internet, including in rural areas in developing countries. Now that is so important, because I know a lot of people maybe in the Western or more developed countries may take that for granted, but think about how our entire society all around the world is going to evolve when you have a farmer in a village in Africa. Like, for example, my husband their family has an orange farm, right? And they make orange juice with their orange farm. Now imagine if they can actually take videos of them growing their oranges and making the orange juice. I see people go viral on TikTok for way less, just for making the orange juice without having to grow the oranges. But now think about how empowered that farmer can be when we all get to be a part of that process, to see how those oranges are grown and how much valuable those oranges will even become, because people will want them shipped maybe, around their country or even to other countries and all kind of things. When we think about, again, how just that exposure and education, right? I've seen so many designers from all over the world be able to come in and learn about digital fashion and be able to mint that. And one of the things I love about that is because you being able to buy one designer's artwork in that village changes the economics in that entire village. And again, that starts to transition mindsets to everyone to be able to